Hi, lovely Win ladies. It is so good to see you again, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Talk About It. Today, we want to talk about knowing who you are. Do you really know who you are? Or are you letting someone else dictate who you are, or who you're supposed to be, or what you're supposed to be? Um, want to talk about that because it's something that I've experienced in my lifetime, and maybe this might help some of you that are struggling right now to know who you are, to know where you fit in, to know what God's plan for your life is, what your purpose is in life. So, I want to start off by talking about the fact that we as women sometimes have to be careful because we tend to look to others to determine who we think we are. For example, as a child, we look to our parents to help us know who we're supposed to be, to help form our personalities. And that's all well and good if we have wonderful parents, but that's not the case for everyone. And sometimes we work so hard at trying to please our parents. And yes, we should. And good parents will help us develop our character, develop who we are supposed to be. But if you have a parent that doesn't know how to affirm you, doesn't know how to build you up and uh, help you know who you are and help you know what your self-worth is, then we're constantly second guessing ourselves, trying to figure out who we are, where we fit in. And then that carries over as we leave the home and we go into our schools. Then we start looking at how other girls are. We start seeing how they carry themselves. And so we try to be like them. Well, we're moving a little bit further away from who we truly are because we're emulating someone else. Then it goes on when we get to high school, and then, that's a difficult age. And it's kind of like a fork in the road where we can either go the right way or make a misstep, which could potentially affect the rest of our lives. I know I had a hard time determining who I was growing up, and I was always trying to please my parents, but never feeling like I actually, well, mostly my dad, never feeling like I actually measured up to his expectations. And then um, you look to others to help you make decisions, and you look to the best friend, to determine who you are. But when we get to be adults and we form those relationships that may potentially be lifelong partners, we must really be careful, because depending on who we choose, and sometimes how we feel about ourselves determines who we draw to us. If we don't feel good about ourselves, if we don't actually know who we are, if we haven't been affirmed in who God created us to be, we'll look to that person to tell us who we are. And if it's not the right person, if it's not a person who actually celebrates who you are, they will try to change you. And they will try to change you into the image they think you should be. And a lot of times that type of a relationship ends up with us being in a relationship where it is abusive, mentally abusive. We look to that person to affirm us. We look to that person to tell us that we're doing the right thing. We're looking to that person to approve of who we are. And all the while, that person is trying to form us into who they think we should be. And sometimes it ends up being a demeaning relationship where they're telling us we don't measure up, or we're not good enough, or you're, just nothing is right that you do. And your sense of self-worth diminishes. You start to lose who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you're supposed to be. Well, When we buy, for example, a piece of equipment or an appliance, and we want to know how it works and we want to know what it's used for, we look at the owner's manual. We look at the manufacturer, who the creator of the article, the creator of the appliance says that that particular appliance is. We look to them to tell us how the appliance functions. We look to them to tell us how to fix the appliance when it's not working correctly, because we know that that person made the appliance, that company made the appliance. Well, the same thing works for us. We need to look to our maker to tell us who we are, to tell us what he created us to be. The word in Psalms 39, I love this psalm. In 139 in verse 14 says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul well knoweth. Well, that's good. That's it. The psalmist is just really praising the Lord for creating them. And I wanted to read a little bit more of that, because if you start at the verse before that, and it says, I'm going to read the King James Version, but then I want to change it to the Message Bible, which kind of breaks it down a little differently for us. And so let me read the King James Version. It says, for thou hast possessed my reins. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee, when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest part of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy works, thy thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them. But I want to read to you, and I have to use my phone for this one, the version, the Message Bible, and it's beautiful the way it's written. It says, oh yes, you shaped me first inside, then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. I thank you, high God. You are breathtaking. Body and soul, I am marvelously made. I worship in adoration. What a creation. You know me inside and out. You know every bone in my body. You know exactly how I was made, bit by bit, how I was sculpted from nothing into something. Like an open book, you watched me grow from conception to birth. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life all prepared before I even lived one day. Your thoughts, how rare, how beautiful. God, I'll never comprehend them. I just love the way that reads, because God made you to be wonderful. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and he created you, and you have purpose. So when we are looking for who we are, we need to go to our maker, the one who designed us, the one who created us, the one who sent us and put us on this earth, and we have purpose on this earth. There is a job that God put you on here to complete. Know who you are. Search the scriptures to find out who God says you are. God says that he created you to be the head and